Nighttime restlessness is not a flaw of character or discipline, but a complex signal sent by the body and mind when their natural rhythms, unmet needs, and unresolved tensions collide in the silence of the night. Nighttime restlessness is often misunderstood as simple insomnia, yet it is a far more intricate phenomenon involving neurological activation, emotional residue, and physiological imbalance. When the body prepares for sleep, the nervous system should gradually shift from sympathetic dominance, the mode associated with alertness and action, toward parasympathetic regulation, which governs rest, repair, and internal restoration. Restlessness emerges when this transition fails to complete. At night, external distractions fade, and internal sensations become amplified. Thoughts gain volume, bodily discomfort becomes more noticeable, and subtle anxieties rise to the surface. This state is not random. It is the consequence of unresolved stimulation accumulated throughout the day. Cognitive overload, emotional suppression, irregular routines, and artificial environments all contribute to a brain that refuses to disengage. From a biological perspective, nighttime restlessness reflects excessive cortical arousal. The brain continues scanning for threats, solving problems, or replaying memories, even when conscious effort to sleep is present. Meanwhile, muscular tension, shallow breathing, and elevated heart rate reinforce the message that it is not yet safe to rest. Importantly, restlessness is not a personal failure. It is a protective response, the nervous system attempting to maintain control in the absence of perceived safety. Understanding this reframes the experience. The goal is not to force sleep, but to create conditions where rest becomes inevitable. The nervous system operates on rhythms that evolved long before artificial lighting, digital screens, and social acceleration. Central to nighttime calm is the delicate orchestration of hormones such as cortisol, melatonin, adenosine, and serotonin. When this hormonal choreography is disrupted, the body remains suspended between wakefulness and rest. Cortisol, often labeled the stress hormone, should naturally decline as evening approaches. However, chronic stress, late-day stimulation, excessive caffeine, or emotional tension can delay this decline. When cortisol remains elevated, the brain interprets the environment as demanding vigilance, even in darkness. Melatonin, the hormone responsible for signaling night, is not a sedative, but a timekeeper. Its release depends heavily on light exposure, temperature shifts, and consistent routines. Artificial blue light, irregular bedtimes, and unpredictable evenings confuse the brain's internal clock, weakening melatonin's signal. The autonomic nervous system further complicates this dynamic. If the vagus nerve, a major pathway of parasympathetic regulation, is understimulated, the body struggles to downshift. Shallow breathing, poor posture, and emotional guarding limit vagal tone, perpetuating inner agitation. Reducing nighttime restlessness therefore requires synchronizing hormonal cycles rather than overpowering them. This synchronization begins hours before bedtime, not minutes before lying down, emphasizing preparation over desperation. By respecting the body's natural timing and supporting its internal signals, the nervous system can gradually release tension and invite restorative rest. The mind does not rest simply because the body lies still. Nighttime restlessness frequently arises from cognitive accumulation, unfinished tasks, unresolved conversations, suppressed emotions, and mental noise carried silently throughout the day. During waking hours, attention is fragmented. Responsibilities, notifications, and social interactions prevent deep emotional processing. At night, when external input diminishes, the mind seizes the opportunity to complete what was postponed. Thoughts surface not to torment, but to seek resolution. Rumination often intensifies because the prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational filtering, becomes less dominant at night. Emotional memory networks gain influence, allowing past experiences, worries, and imagined futures to intrude. This is why restlessness often includes a sense of urgency without a clear objective. Another overlooked factor is identity pressure. Many individuals carry performance-based self-worth, measuring value through productivity or control. When inactivity becomes unavoidable at night, internal resistance emerges. The mind equates stillness with vulnerability, triggering subtle anxiety. Reducing this mental burden requires intentional psychological closure. Externalizing thoughts through writing, structuring the next day in advance, and acknowledging emotional states without judgment allows the mind to relinquish its nighttime labor. By creating space for reflection rather than suppression, the brain can release tension and transition toward a natural, effortless rest. The sleeping environment profoundly shapes the nervous system's ability to relax. Humans evolved to sleep in conditions that signaled safety, consistency, and minimal sensory ambiguity. Modern bedrooms often contradict these requirements. Artificial light disrupts circadian signaling, even at low intensity. Streetlights, digital clocks, and phone notifications send micro-alerts to the brain, subtly sustaining vigilance. Sound irregularity, intermittent noise rather than constant background sound, maintains subconscious alertness, while temperature extremes interfere with thermal regulation, a key component of sleep onset. Tactile discomfort also plays a significant role. Mattress firmness, bedding texture, restrictive clothing, and even subtle muscle misalignment can prevent full relaxation, leaving the body semi-mobilized and alert. Equally important is emotional association with the sleeping space. If the bed becomes a site of frustration, overthinking, or stimulation, the brain learns to associate it with wakefulness. Reconditioning the environment into a cue for calm requires consistency and simplicity. Optimizing the sensory landscape is not about luxury, but predictability. When the environment becomes boring to the nervous system, restlessness loses its fuel. By intentionally shaping light, sound, temperature, and tactile input, the bedroom transforms from a battleground of vigilance into a sanctuary of restorative calm. Many behaviors that appear harmless during the day have delayed consequences at night. Late evening stimulation, whether intellectual, emotional, or physical, sends conflicting signals to the brain, keeping it alert long after the activity ends. Intense conversations, complex problem solving, competitive media, and emotionally charged content elevate arousal, often without conscious awareness. Caffeine sensitivity varies widely, yet even small amounts consumed in the afternoon can impair deep rest, while alcohol may induce initial drowsiness but fragments sleep architecture, increasing nighttime awakenings and internal agitation. Irregular schedules weaken circadian entrainment. When bedtime shifts daily, the brain struggles to predict rest, maintaining readiness instead. Inconsistent wake times are particularly disruptive, as they anchor the internal clock more strongly than sleep onset. Another silent contributor is lack of daylight exposure. Natural light, especially in the morning, calibrates circadian timing. Without it, nighttime sleep pressure diminishes, leading to restless energy after dark. Correcting these habits does not require perfection. It requires alignment, teaching the nervous system what to expect and when to let go, allowing the body and mind to embrace sleep naturally and without resistance. Effective nighttime calming strategies target the nervous system directly rather than relying on willpower. Slow, extended exhalation breathing activates parasympathetic pathways, reducing heart rate and muscular tension, with longer exhales than inhales proving particularly effective. Progressive muscle relaxation helps release residual physical guarding. By consciously tensing and releasing each muscle group, the body receives permission to disengage, while attention anchors in physical sensation, interrupting cognitive loops. Gentle sensory cues further encourage calm. Low-frequency sound, consistent background noise, or soft tactile input, such as weighted blankets, provide subtle signals of containment and safety. Warmth, especially to the extremities, facilitates the natural drop in core temperature required for sleep initiation. Mental techniques complement these physical interventions. Visualization of repetitive neutral imagery, walking through familiar landscapes, or observing natural patterns, occupies cognitive resources without emotional charge, reducing intrusive thought cycles. These methods are most effective when practiced regularly, transforming them from isolated interventions into nightly rituals. Through consistency, intention, and gentle guidance of both body and mind, restlessness diminishes and sleep emerges as a natural, effortless state. Lasting reduction of nighttime restlessness depends on restoring trust between the body and rest. This trust develops through consistency, self-awareness, and patience, allowing sleep to return not as an obligation, but as a natural consequence. Establishing predictable daily rhythms anchors the nervous system. Regular meal times, movement patterns, and exposure to natural light reinforce internal timing mechanisms, while emotional regulation during waking hours prevents overload at night. Equally essential is redefining the relationship with rest itself. Sleep is not an achievement, it is a biological function. Releasing performance expectations reduces anticipatory anxiety, one of the most common drivers of nighttime agitation. Nighttime wakefulness should be met with neutrality rather than struggle. Fighting restlessness amplifies it, whereas observing it calmly often allows it to dissipate naturally. Over time, through alignment of behavior, environment, and internal signals, the nervous system learns that the night is safe, the mind becomes quiet, and the body surrenders effortlessly to restorative sleep. This holistic approach transforms restlessness from a source of frustration into a guide, teaching the rhythms of balance, presence, and deep recovery. Thank you for dedicating this time to your well-being and understanding the subtle signals of your body and mind. Nighttime restlessness is not a flaw. It is an invitation to listen, to adjust, and to align with your natural rhythms. By practicing awareness, cultivating consistent routines, and nurturing both body and mind, rest becomes not a goal, but a gentle consequence of care and intention. Remember, change takes patience, and every small step toward harmony reinforces trust in yourself and your nervous system. Sleep is a sanctuary, a daily restoration, and a mirror of how deeply you honor your own balance. Allow these practices to guide you, and may each night bring a deeper sense of calm, safety, and effortless restoration.